Hello, hello. Happy Wines Day or Thirsty Thursday, whatever day of the week it is. I don't even know anymore. Oh my gosh. We are live on Here's the Tea TV. This is a live podcast broadcast. And tonight we're going to talk about Open That Bottle Night, which is happening this Saturday. I am super excited about it. It is a super fun night. And I have a very special guest. My really good friend Michelle is joining me this evening to talk a little bit more about that night and how you can leverage it and have some fun too. So in a second, I'm going to bring her right on up. So as you tune in, say hey, tell me where you're tuning in from. Let us know what you are sipping on. And if you don't know who I am Tiara, aka T, your wine diva. I am the host of Here's the Tea TV. I am a wine consultant myself. I love to help people find wines that they are going to love. And this lovely lady is a fellow wine consultant and a great friend, Michelle. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hey T, well, thank you for the little intro you gave me. I'm Michelle LaRue, and I've been a wine consultant for I don't know 5 years, but a wine lover for a long time. I started collecting in 1998, I think, and kind of have not stopped to this day. So,
I love it.
yeah, so I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and I'm glad to chat with you about Open That Bottle Night, which you and I have celebrated together.
I
So
know.
I'm so bummed that you now live so far away that, we'll have to stream each other or something in the middle of our
Yes.
celebrations.
I love that. That's a great idea. So, yes, speaking of that, I remember, I don't even know, it was like a couple years ago, but I didn't even know about Open That Bottle Night. But Michelle like reached out and she was like, hey, do you want to come over? It's Open That Bottle Night. And I was like, what does that mean? Did you just like make it up? What is this? And I went over and oh my gosh, we had like all of this amazing wine and paired it with some phenomenal food. And it was just a great evening with friends to just sip and chat and just have a really good time. So I thought it was awesome. And I think so many other people would enjoy doing it. So can you explain what Open That Bottle Night is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Open That Bottle Night is, in fact, a made up holiday, although I'm not the one who made it up. There's a couple who used to write for the Wall Street Journal, and they were like, they are like real journalists, but they also were people who were discovering a love of wine. They, in fact, met like their first day of work at a small newspaper in Florida and fell in love and got married and,
Ooh.
have continued to collect and taste and write and share about it. But while they were working for the Wall Street Journal in the late 1990s, early 2000s, they said that the question they got the most often from people who would write in is, I got this wine
Mhm.
from my baby's, christening, and the baby's now 20, or, a family member passed away and I inherited my dad's
Mhm.
cellar or something like that. I have these bottles. When should I drink them? When should I drink this bottle? And they said, now. The answer is now.
Always.
And it's now. And, they said, it really doesn't have to be the occasion for
Mhm.
the wine. The wine makes the occasion. So
Ooh.
they decided to basically invent the last Saturday of February as Open That Bottle Night. And I think this was around 2000 or 2001. And I look back through some of my notes, and I've definitely had years where I just, wasn't in the place for it when I had this, really young baby. But I've been celebrating it off and on for like 20 years now, almost 20 years. So it's definitely a thing. It's my thing. My friends who know me know it's my thing. I think it's so much fun, and it's a little bit different every time. You don't know if the wines are going to be good. You
Mhm.
don't know if they're, what's going to happen, but, it's guaranteed to be a lot of fun and a lot of great conversation with people. Like strangers, I had two strangers come last year. Like they were
Ooh.
referred by a friend, and I said, yeah, you should come. And that's literally when we met. And they're coming again this weekend. They've become really good friends. So
I love
I mean,
that.
anything can happen. It's a lot of fun. So that's kind of what it is. And just to tell you, I guess, about how I recommend people celebrate it. So the premise is, we've got a special bottle of wine, either in our possession or
Mhm.
there's something we have a memory associated with it. And the key is to decide we're going to make it the occasion and open the bottle and try it.
Yeah.
And whether it's still good, whether it's, not good anymore, it's a surprise, right? If it's an older bottle of wine. But, people sometimes think, oh, well, it's about buying some expensive bottle of wine that you've never tried before. And of course it could be,
Yeah.
but to me, the best part of it is it should be a wine that's memorable to you. So it might be a bottle of wine that is still made that maybe you had on like a first date. So, for people who are high school, college sweethearts, maybe it's a bottle of Boone's Farm. So I encourage people, like, if you did something special, wine tasting, or if there's some bottle that you had like on a picnic, or when your spouse proposed, or just something that reminds you of a really great day that you had, or a really memorable bottle with friends. That's the one to, if you have a copy, have one in your cellar, a copy. If you have a bottle in your cellar, to bring it up to open it. And if you're going to go out and buy one, that's okay too. So we've had some really interesting things over the years as people have brought wines that they've, say, carried back from like other countries, when it was
Ooh.
a lot easier to do that. A guest once brought, a bottle of wine that he brought back from Germany like 15 years ago. So people have brought and then shared with, the group what they brought and why they brought it and what it means to them. And to me, that's kind of my favorite part, is just hearing people talk about how this particular wine, what it has meaning to them and how it enriches their life. So
Mm.
that's kind of a whole spiel to put at you. But I'm going to take a break now and have a sip of wine, since that's what we do, right?
Yes, I love it. So
Give you a chance to talk.
I love your reasoning behind, what wines that you pick out. Like for me, I find like it's an excuse to open that random bottle that like you don't remember what occasion it's for or whatever.
Yeah.
Like like I have so many bottles where it's just like I went to the winery, I love the wine, and now
Yeah.
I only bought one bottle, and now it becomes a sacred, amazing thing. And then I'm like, okay, now it's gotten to a point where it might be, especially if it's like a white wine or something like that, like it's like it might be not good anymore. Maybe we should just like open
Oh
it up.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got one of those. You want me to bring a couple of little
Yeah.
samples over that that are candidates for this year?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes. I love it.
Yeah. So I started pulling some out just for you, and I have no idea what we're going to open. We may open more than one. Who knows? But so in that category that you just said, so I have some whites. Um, I have this really great white that's from New Zealand, which I love.
Ooh.
It's kind of from before. I mean, it's what's really weird is I can't remember if I bought it when I was there, or if I got it at a wine auction, which is really sad. But it doesn't even have, like, I'll have to look up and see what's in it because it just says it's a white. I'm guessing it's a Sauvignon Blanc, which I love. I love New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs almost more than anything.
Mm.
But it really isn't supposed to last 15 years.
Yeah.
2005. So who knows? It might be really good. It might be really awful. So that's one of them. And then as I was looking around, I mean, who wouldn't want to open some bubbly, right? I have
Yeah.
some vintage bubbly, and sometimes vintage bubbly is actually really, really amazing. So this is a Cordon Rouge from Mum. Mum makes this from 1990. So this wine is like from the first year when I moved here. This is 30 years old.
Oh my gosh.
One of the things that I like to do, because I tend to have people from different parts of my life, including some. I'm not as young as some of my guests, so I like to have wine that's older than some of the people who are there. It's kind of fun because it's like, oh my god, I'm drinking this wine that was made before I was even born.
I love
That's
that.
just, it's not an experience you get to have every day. So we've got the Cordon Rouge Mum to consider, and then this is what happens when you move and you have cellar and bottles get moved. I have some Domaine Carneros Taittinger from 1997.
Ooh.
I've had this wine more recently. It's kind of their higher end. It's called La Rev. This is really, really good. But again,
Tiger makes some really good stuff.
it's 13 years old. Will it be good? I don't know, but maybe we'll find out. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about what I'm drinking. What about you? Do you have some that you've picked out yet?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I was like looking um earlier today and I was like, ooh, what can I'm like I found like some dolcetto in there.
Oh,
I
good.
found I have plenty of like Artisan 5. Like maybe
That's
this
a
is just
nice
my
choice. You've got some good stuff back there.
yeah. I have what else did I put? I have a lot of like my favorite winery in Virginia is Pierman, and I have a bunch of random Pierman stuff that I haven't opened since like leaving. So I'm like, maybe it's a
Yeah.
Pierman and Effingham kind of night. I don't know. And like I'm trying to think like who we have like in our apartment complex, we have like a little speakeasy, and we're like, maybe we'll just have some people over kind of
Ooh.
depending on who shows up. I know some people are more of a sweeties, some people are more like into like deeper reds, so we might just like have like a nice little mix.
Mhm.
um we have a port of Syrah that might be a contender.
Wow. That
If
sounds good.
Jay wants to open that one up, that's up to him. But yeah, so we have some fun things that, and bubbles are always like included.
Of course. I mean, you and I wouldn't do anything without them.
Yes. I live off bubbles. I don't know what kind. I have like cava,
Right?
prosecco, and some other like bubbly. So we'll see. It might
That
even be
could make
like,
a fun comparison. If you
yeah.
look at, from a couple different countries, if, Cava versus Prosecco, what do people like better? Or
Hmm.
let people
Yeah.
defend their favorites.
Cava, prosecco, and I also have like straight up champagne. So we could do like Henriot or Laurent Perrier. Who knows?
Oh,
Get fancy.
God, so yummy.
I love it. So we were talking about, because a lot of the things about, I feel for me at least with Open That Bottle Night is pulling out things that might have been on your shelf for a long time. So can you give some of your tips on like aging wine and making sure that your wine is like, properly stored?
Yeah, sure. So before I, excuse me, moved into this house, I had a closet that was like under some stairs that we put a cooling unit in. Like we waterproofed it
It was amazing.
and stuck that in, cut a hole in the door to vent the cooler, and had racks in there, and that's what we used for a long time. And then we had kind of a separate space we had like a clay bottom crawl space, and we would take and put buckets of wine in there, basically, that we didn't want to touch for a while but we needed to store, like in a cellar, like near the
Yeah.
earth. So I mean, I love going to places. There's a lot of people who have these really beautiful fancy cellars,
Hmm.
and of course they're fun to visit, but mine is literally like a IKEA box that's assembled into a room,
Hmm.
and it's got racks inside, and it's got a cooling unit, and it's located in my basement. And two people can fit in there, but it's not the place you drink the wine. It's the place you go and pull bottles out and then go take it away. So basically my suggestion is, don't be put off if you don't have a cellar. Pick a cool place, cool dark place in your house. And wine is tougher than you think. I mean, of course, if people are collecting something really fabulous, oftentimes you want to really be particular about the temperature, but a lot of basements are just fine if you stick
Hmm.
them in a cool, dark place. It's really more about how much the temperature fluctuates than, what exact temperature that it's kept at. So, again, my favorite authors, who I'm going to hold up one of their books because they are still writing and drinking and talking about this, but these two marvelous people who made this holiday up, I will be forever grateful for them doing that. They lived in Manhattan, and their first cellar was basically the bottom of a closet
Hmm.
because they didn't have a basement. And I think they have some offsite storage now that's more available in
Oh
you
yeah, that's
know
the thing.
different parts of the country, which is really great. But it's really nice to be able to walk down to your own selection and pull something out. And really, for a lot of us, it's the only way to affordably try aged wine.
Hmm.
So if you have a little bit of patience, buy one to taste now, buy one to taste in a couple of years, and then keep one for, 5 to 10 or whatever the recommendation is. Or if you're like me, you forget about it, and this Cordon Rouge mom said it should be drunk and it would drink well through 2002. but I will bet that this was made sturdily and with enough structure that it will still taste amazing today.
Mhm.
So, to me, that's the best part of it because you really can go out and buy, the $15 Ravenswood or the $12 Ravenswood from Costco or Total Wine and stick it away for a while and have this little treasure to come out and open later.
Yeah, I love that. And I
Yeah.
definitely have to agree on the wine is tougher than you think. For someone who moved
Hmm.
across the country
Yeah.
in the middle of August from DC area to Southern California, I can definitely say that, one of the things that I was most concerned about was like, I took some of our more expensive bottles, yes, I wrapped them and I put them in my luggage and I
Yep.
flew with them. But the rest
Perfect.
of the stuff had to just, move. There was a lot of bottles. And I was like very concerned that I was like, oh my gosh, half my collection is going to come back and it's going to be corked. And I'm going to be so upset because it's
I
like
bet
90
not.
degrees outside. And like, I have yet, knock on wood, to open a bottle that's just that's like vinegar or anything like that. Like it's everything has
Yeah.
been opening beautifully. So, as long as you're keeping your wine in a space that doesn't fluctuate the temperature, like, all day, like out of the kitchen and that kind of thing,
Yep.
I think you're set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you have I can see kind of part of your setup back there too. So you can tell us a little bit about kind of how you figure out where things go. But one of the things I really like, I mean, people kind of know this, but it really helps to store wine on its side because if
Mhm.
it's wine that's sealed with a cork, it helps keep the cork moist. And that if the cork dries out, that's when too much air can get in and out, and you're more likely to get a bottle that goes bad or has that vinegar sense
Mhm.
to it. Um, but things like champagne or bubbly or cava of any kind, you can actually store those upright because there's enough upward pressure that you're not going to have that kind of issue. So that's really helpful to know when you're like maybe have a very small storage space, and those a lot of the bubbly bottles are just a little bit bigger because they're
Mhm.
heavier so that they can contain the carbonation. So there's a lot of different ways that you can arrange your collection to suit what you have and what you like to drink. And, hiding a few bottles from yourself is never a bad idea because then you'll find them later. And like, oh, yeah, I forgot about this. Well, we're going to try this now.
Oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes. Our old apartment, they were like all over the place. Like I had this set up. I also had a space in the bedroom with like it was a bookshelf, and we're like, nope, no more books are allowed. We're putting wine here.
Put wine there. Yep. I had literally like the packing bins that they come in when they ship them. At the time they used foam instead of the nice recycled paper cardboard stuff now, but we would store them in there because it was a nice little insulated, protection from the temperature
Mhm.
fluctuations and from, glass being broken if things are jostled around. So yeah, it is a good thing to know. It's tougher than you think. I mean, don't leave it in your car in the direct sun with the door shut for 100 degrees in August, but it can handle a little bit of,
Mhm.
you know, handling with a little heat, just not too much.
Yes, yes. All right. So Michelle has a question for you, Michelle. I love it.
Oh, okay.
So how do you decide what you're going to purchase and hold versus drinking right away?
Oh, I tend to things that I purchase and hold for me are things that I've maybe had a few bottles of and really liked them.
Mhm.
And either they're a type of wine that I know can potentially age really well, like Bordeaux's, or in my case, I really like Bordeaux's and Cabernet Blends. I really like Zinfandel. So I like to buy Zinfandels and hold them. And it's tricky sometimes because again, it's easy to drink them. But most wineries or wine stores, or even now, there's tons of apps and you can go online. You can see what the winemaker predicts will be a good lifespan because they know what they put in it
Mhm.
and what grapes, some grapes provide flavor, some provide aroma, some provide structure, and they have a sense of, we think this will be good for this amount of time.
Right.
Often it's for way, way longer. And those are kind of the jewels that, you find and think, oh, this is just amazing. So that's kind of what I do is look at what I like to drink already.
Mhm.
And you can age whites, and before you do, you want to know. Yeah, I know, Michelle. Zins are so easy to drink right away. I'm with you. The way I got around this finally was I joined the Ravenswood Wine Club.
And
And as a consultant, I get a very nice discount, so that's good too. But I did that for a few years, and I've stopped for a while now because I'm kind of shifting around and seeing, okay, what do I want to get? But that is the way to do it because they sell things in their wine clubs. Often, wine clubs have wines that they don't sell to the general public, so they're
Mhm.
things that maybe are better suited, have more structure, more elegant to do that.
I
I
love
say buy those Ravens, buy all the Zinfandels that start with an R. There's like Ridge, which is also wonderful, and Ravenswood, and honestly, I always forget the other two. So,
Is Ravenswood based out of Napa?
it's Sonoma.
Sonoma.
But one
Yay.
of the things, okay, so they're one of my little ones too. So I'm gonna grab another one.
I love it. Oh my
And
gosh.
tell me when I should stop talking. But
No, you're fine.
so
I was just asking for my own personal benefit because Jay and I celebrate 7 years next month. And we're going to Napa Sonoma to celebrate.
so good. Normally, I would say go here. I actually just learned that about a year ago they got purchased by Constellation, and they
Oh,
closed their tasting room,
Constellation.
which makes me very, very sad. So maybe that will change, um, but Ravenswood right now, I mean, they're so far the things I bought seem to be up to the same standards. But one of the cool things that they did, I thought I was grabbing a Ravenswood. Instead, I grabbed a Ridge, but we'll talk about that too. Ravenswood was one of the first wineries to put like the vineyard designations. So they have, because
Mm.
they make like 40 different kinds of Zinfandel. So they have like the Teldeschi vineyard and the Bellagio something. It's not Bellagio, but that's what it makes me think of. So, oh, Kuna family. Okay, I'm liking Michelle's comment here. Oh, I'm sure. I think I visited them at one point. I really love Old Vine Zinfandel.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
probably my all-time favorite red.
I love that. So Coon Family Estate,
Mhm.
135-year-old vines. Ooh,
Mhm.
ooh,
Which
ooh.
is really good because a lot of them, over 50 years is really good for Napa in terms of the age of vines.
Yes, yes. Yes. I'm just so like excited. I love it. I love wine. And I think it's so funny, as we all I mean, even Michelle works in wine too. The one commenting. So like we all work in wine and it's really cool to see how even though like we might have our own specific wineries that we rep for or whatever, but we're so open to trying new things. It's like the second you get into this industry or like into wine, it's just like the more you try, the more you know, and the more you can enjoy it. And it's like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
I
it's
love
like
it.
a candy store. You want to try everything, or a toy store, or whatever. If you're a kid, it's just I want one of those and one of those and one of those, and this one looks interesting because they're so very. There's just so much to try. Oh, this is good.
This
Do
is
you
a
have a
great
passion
question.
for anything outside of the States? Yes. So I love New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, like a lot. I early on in my wine buying career, there was a company called WineBid. I'm not sure if they're still alive or not.
Mhm.
WineBid and Wine.com. I think Wine.com still is. And they do these Sunday night auctions. And between that, and because I live in Virginia, not too far from New York, and Morel's and Christie's and Zacky's all do online wine auctions. Um, we really put our cellar together by looking for the deals.
Yeah.
Like we bought some really interesting things, and a lot of them were crapshoot because it's like might be good, might be not. But by buying those mixed cases, we got a lot of interesting things. So here's two things that are on the slate
Mm.
for this week. Oh, Cloudy Bay, I love you. Okay, let's be best friends. My favorite, and I went to the winery 15 years ago and literally like got off the plane. rented a car in a tiny little airport, and we're like driving there, and I look up and there's the mountain view that you see on the bottle. And it was like, it was a transcendental moment. It was
Oh my
fantastic.
gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Michelle, your girl after my own heart. But yes, so one of the things I happen to have, because people tend to collect them, are old Bordeaux. So the Bordeaux blends
Mm.
of, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Malbec, um, Cab Franc. We don't even know exactly what's in all these, although we could look them up. So I have one that's from one of the Chateau Margaux
Hmm.
Richmond range. I don't even know that. We have to get more from her. So this is 1975.
Oh wow,
Will this be good? I have no
who
idea
knows? We'll see.
because it's down here, but it might be okay. Things going to evaporate a little bit, and it's been kept in pretty decent shape. So, we're going to open it and try it because it's not like it's getting any better. So that will be fun to try. And sitting fairly close to that, I saw this. This is kind of one of the second labels of one of the Mouton Rothschilds. It's a Chateau Mouton Baron Philippe. This one's 1983. So a little newer, but you can see, it's the same. It's like when it's past the shoulder, you just kind of don't know. And this one has like a sticky-ish film around the top. So we don't know. Might be good, might not be good. And then the last one that's kind of a new addition. I met a friend through doing this that grew up in Bosnia Herzegovina,
Mm.
and she's on a mission to bring these wines, the wines of Illyria. That's the ancient name for that area.
I feel like it's Game of Thrones related. I don't know why, because I'm
I
such
have
a
one
nerd.
that's okay. There's like a little, almost like a dragon boat on here, and one of the bottles I have, which I'm not opening this time, is called Warrior Queen something.
Yes.
So this is with a native grape called Vronic,
Hmm.
which is similar to a Zinfandel. So we opened it tonight because we needed some for Odyssey of the Mind, but we're gonna try more of it on Saturday, and it was really good. It was really really good.
Oh,
So yes, I definitely buy and drink wine from everywhere.
me too. I'm trying to remember. I had a wine last week, and it was from. I can't think of where it was from, and it's like maybe Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I don't know. It was like somewhere that's not like necessarily like a regularly heard of wine producing
Was
region. I
it
was like,
red or sweet?
it was dry and it was white. And I'm trying to
Mm,
remember. And it was like a varietal that I had never heard of before either. And so I'm like, what
yeah,
was it? And now like, whatever. It'll come to me.
those are really fun to try.
I love it. I love like, I live in California, I rep for, a winery that's based in California. So yeah, I do talk a lot of Cali wine. That's what I know. And I feel like a lot of my customers know, but
Mhm.
let's be real. I drink all of the things.
Yeah, and one of my favorite of the it's Austrian,
Mhm.
but they're also uh, Budapest, Hungary related because all that again used to be the same country territory. Um, what I really love is it's a white grape called Gruner Veltliner. You've probably
Love
heard me talk about
Bruner.
it because I love it so much. I really like crisp whites, and that's one that you know Austria had their wine scandal, which we won't talk about today,
Mm.
but they've really grown past that, and the wines that they're producing, the whites in particular. I haven't had a bad one of these, and even in like the $8 to $10 to $12 range, they're all good. They're really, really good. So, I think when you start to look beyond, the US and Canada, you can end up with some really, great deals and things that are
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, just different.
Some fun, some funky stuff.
Fun is good.
Armenia. There we go. Sorry, I had to
Oh,
figure it out.
cool. I don't think I've ever had wine from there. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, it was very clean and crisp, refreshing. It was really, really cool to like experience that. So it's one of like Paul Hobbs's um places that he's working with and like collaborating with. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really fun. So Michelle says,
So we want to know what Michelle's going to open. The other Michelle's going to open on Saturday.
yeah, let us know. I'm sure she's got bubbles.
She's just she's laughing at the wine scandal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically they were putting in something that can be used as de-icing fluid to make them sweet. They don't do that anymore, but it was a big, yeah, it's a big scandal.
Big skin. There's
20, 30-ish.
a lot of scandals in the wine world that I'm like slowly
Yes.
but surely
Yeah.
learning about. Not so fun things from there. I think there's actually some really cool documentaries on them if you guys are into like wine scandals, like on Netflix,
Yes.
stuff like that. There's like the guy who
Rudy Kirkanian. Yeah, watch those. They're fascinating.
it's so fascinating
Yeah.
taking labels and doing all like counterfeiting wines.
Hmm.
Insane. There's like someone that was doing something and like had a bunch of wine stored for a lot of wineries in Napa, and then like once he got caught, like burned the warehouse. Oh my gosh, so many like put some wineries
So
out.
sad.
It's a lot of craziness out there. But we're talking about drinking wine and having a good time. So
We are. And, I guess you haven't asked this yet, but one of the other things I would say is, it's fun to do like a big fancy dinner or something, but you don't have to. People do this with takeout. You know, what one of the really cool things is that the couple who, invented this, asked people to send in their stories after they did it the first time. And they were blown away by the kinds of things that people shared. And, tales of love and loss and meeting people again and, memories that you have kind of for a lifetime of certain people and places and experiences. But, one of the cool things they said is that there are people who like get together and they'd make these really fancy dinners. And there are the people who'd be like, let's go get barbecue. You can have whatever you want. It doesn't have to be fancy. I make the food try to fit whatever wine comes
Mhm.
there. And sometimes I get a little out of control. I'm reining it in a little bit more. I'm trying to not,
Don't
because
believe
the
you.
dinners tend to start at 6 and go to like
You
2 in
know,
the morning.
whenever.
2 in the morning, yeah.
Let's
And who wants
also
to eat dinner for 8 hours, right?
let people know that Michelle's also who taught me how to make wine cocktails. So
Right. Yes.
so you can only imagine. But
Yeah.
I think that's leads to say that wine is really about the experience. Like oftentimes people are like, oh, I just want to drink to like get wasted or whatever, but no, it's more than that. It's who you're sharing it with,
Yeah.
the conversations that you have, the laughter, the tears, like all of that good stuff. It's like so cathartic. I
Yeah.
love.
So if you take pictures and put them up on social, tag them with OTBN 2020.
Yeah. Have you had anything from
Bodega.
Bodega Namantia?
I don't know if I have. I've definitely had Spanish wine. I've
Mhm.
been to Madrid and to Barcelona. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Oh, love Barcelona. Love, love, love it.
It's on my
Um,
list.
I do not recognize those, but I've had, the Riojas, the
Mm.
Ribera del Dueros, and I really like the whites. I really, really love the Godejos and there's also a Verdelho. Love, love those. They're just bright and fresh and they fit that, weather that you think of as like sunny Spain. So
Mm.
they're so, so yummy.
I love it. I just love wine. But there's
Yeah, me too.
something about like old world versus new world because for me Italy is where I learned like my true love of wine um and it wasn't anything fancy. I just remember it being like house wines. Like I remember being in college and being like, wine is like kind of bitter, kind of whatever. And when I went to Italy, it opened my eyes to, there's different flavor profiles. And like I
Yeah,
probably was drinking something that was like $4 a bottle and what a college kid would drink. But
right.
and
Well, and some of the stuff that we get that's cheap, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's really not. They're unloading the stuff that they won't drink on us because, we're Americans who can't pronounce Vronic or whatever. So You'd think that's probably getting better now, but who knows?
I
Maybe
know.
that's part of it. Yeah.
Ooh, Tempraneos. I am a fan thing. Yes, Michelle. I love that. But yeah, so you've talked about what you're thinking you're gonna be drinking. What are you gonna be eating? Do you know yet?
Yes, at least some of it. Okay, I still haven't decided if there's like a fish or a chicken course. I decided for like the big
She said
meat
course.
course. I do. I love courses, but I'm trying to make it better because again, it just goes on, and some people are like, "Oh my God, I'm dying here." But they're usually people like someone's husband that got dragged along to this and really likes beer more, and they're good sport. But after a while, it's like, "Oh my God, when are you going to let me off this table?" But I think I'm going to do a stuffed pork tenderloin, like a fruit
Mm,
stuffed pork tenderloin, and I've made some homemade applesauce. I made mashed potatoes to go on the side. Like I've been cooking already because it takes a while
it's
to
like
get all this
Thanksgiving.
together, and probably some kind of interesting salad. And again, I haven't decided if there's soup or not yet. It's Thursday. I got 2 days, right? And I haven't decided which dessert choice, but it could be creme brulee or it could be a pound cake. It could be chocolate. Could be like I've done like little chocolate cupcakes and cookies. The chocolate things go really well with reds and with
Mhm.
quartz, and the things that are more butter based go better with the white type of wines that you might pair with dessert. And the key with that is that the wine has to be sweeter than the dessert, except for red, which the red and chocolate works. But if you don't do that, then you get this kind of disconnect that's like, oh, it's
Mm,
really not good together.
it's like a
So
weird.
yeah, so I really try to go with something not too sweet
That's
for
good.
the
Mm.
dessert. And there's a cheese course in there too. So, I know.
Oh my gosh.
I
Ah,
know.
that's so exciting. So yes, if you've never celebrated Open That Bottle Night, I highly recommend just doing it. Get a bottle, make some food. You can keep it simple. Get takeout. You can even get wings. Let's be real. I pair
God,
wings
yes.
all the time.
They're great. They're great with a lot of wine. And you can have them with reds and whites and be happy.
Mm, mm.
Go get fish tacos, all you California people.
Yes,
That'd be
guacamole.
fantastic.
There's taco wine, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
why not?
why not? I love it. So, is there anything else that
Why not?
you want to make sure that our audience knows today?
Um, you don't have to, but it's kind of fun to keep a list of what you drink each year. If
Mm,
you do this more than once, and to go back and look at it and say, "Oh yeah, that was interesting." I mean, you may not even remember. It's when you get more than about 5 bottles, they start to blur, and not even if you drink too much. I mean, I always say, try a little and then see what you want more of. You have to pace yourself. But, there's definitely a couple of wines each year that are just, everyone agrees are the wine.
mm, mhm.
That was surprising and so fabulous.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
perfect. So, yes,
Yeah.
Open That Bottle Night, the last Saturday of February every year. Highly recommend to make that part of your traditions to have some fun, especially in the cold weather and all that good stuff. Drinking wine is going to warm you up. So, yes, even though we're having a hot front here in California,
Yeah. It
it
was like 50 here today and rainy. So, we don't
might
have
have
snow
been
here, but
85 today. You were
but
just,
it's nice. Yeah. I mean, maybe you'll drink more whites or,
it might be a rose kind of day. We'll
rosé would
see.
be lovely.
It's a rose kind of day right now.
Yeah, and pair them with white. Yeah.
I love it. So drink what makes you happy. And so thank you so much for listening, watching, all that good stuff. I hope you have an awesome sauce rest of your day, night, evening, whenever you are enjoying this program, and have an awesome sauce rest of, I don't know, life.
Thanks, T, for inviting me. This was so much fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed. Thank you, Michelle, for hopping on.
Yes, ma'am. Take
Bye.
care.